In fighting games, we've seen robots that can fight autonomously and humans with mechanical parts testing their tech against the best fighters. But what about those robots who cannot fight on their own, or those humans or creatures who want to be on the battlefield but are not fused with their machinery? These characters can combine to make mechs and mech pilots, or riders, or drivers, or wherever you wanted to find them as. The riders may be too weak to fight on their own, but they have the brain or connections to build a machine that they can control from the inside, or maybe even leaving themselves exposed at the top or sides of the robot. This topic was initially suggested by viewer Deddy Fazpool as top 10 mech pilots in video games, but as you can see, I took it one step deeper by just talking about the fighting game genre. However, you may still see some mech pilots not exclusive to fighting games, since the same criteria is in effect that was in the previous videos. As long as you were playable on a fighting game roster, it's fine if your origin was in some other game or media. Though, I will exclude characters that fight in mech suits that snugly fit on their body. Maybe that will be its own topic someday. And just like the last videos, my co-host will be AT from... whoops.
AT is unavailable for this video, but I'm still here.
Are you implying you're going to be a co-host for this video?
Yeah, I am.
Alright then. Joining me in this video is Judgment Meter, who apparently stalks the videos that she's not in.
But not in the creepy way.
What are you talking about? I'm right here. You could say I'm co-piloting this video.
Move over, AT. I'm here too.
Now, everyone can be in this video. So let's fly by the top 10 mech pilots or drivers in fighting games. Number 10. Devilot from Cyberbots. Her full name is Princess Devilot de Death Satan IX.
That's long.
And redundant, Death Satan and Devil are in her name. I'm surprised she was not the 666th with that namesake in her family. Devilot may not be the most known character from her somewhat obscure game of origin Cyberbots, who we'll get to later in this video, but Capcom made sure that she was the second most recognizable one with her appearances in Marvel vs. Capcom and Puzzle Fighter. In the first Marvel vs. Capcom game, she was an assist that comedically rose from the ground with her goons on her mech from Cyberbots, ready to release her master plan, only to have it explode as they retreat, realizing they should duck out before anyone notices their incompetence. In Cyberbots, she was a boss character, only playable in the console version. While the game allows the pilot to choose their robot, I'm going to focus on Devilot's boss mech. It's a giant octopus mech called Super 8. It attacks with creative mechanical tentacles, has little bubble bombs and missiles, and can turn its tentacles into torpedoes that fire out of its mechanical octomouth. It's submarine themed, yet it works on land. Brilliant! Unfortunately for Super 8, it was given minor cameo roles when Capcom preferred to give Devilot center stage in her later appearances. Due to, I don't know, Devilot's design probably. People love that crown.
What's her crown made out of?
Well, her name implies she's a princess and a devil, so it could range anywhere from being made out of gold to... the souls of her enemies.
Maybe I don't like it as much as I thought I did.
Number 9. Chojurro and Hamusuke from Waku Waku 7. They pilot Polytank Z, which is a cop tank of authority in this universe. It's strangely cute, but effective. The Siren Hat alone should have gotten it a spot on this list without question. The feet contain wheels, allowing for good movement, spinning, prodding with spikes, and the boot of justice. The mouth is not just meant to be an unintentional Q*bert reference. It fires grenades in a way only the Philly fanatic could emulate. He can Blanca some electricity as well. Inside the robo-stomach, there are some spike balls that allow the tank to burrow underground. Great for the cop activities of... well, I don't have to have an explanation for everything. But hey, if you don't like being underground, then take to the sky with his helicopter blades as he makes it rain bombs. As the mech design may imply, this officer-dog duo are pretty goofy, exemplified in their arcade mode ending where they save the fairy to grant them a wish. Just as Officer Crumb over here is about to get his wish, the dog, when talking to himself, asks for their machine to be clean, wasting their wish, and then comedy ensues. Number 8. Pac-Man and Street Fighter Cross Tekken. For Street Fighter Cross Tekken, Capcom decided to add offbeat versions of Capcom and Namco's most iconic characters, Mega Man and Pac-Man respectively. Pac-Man's appearance was based on his Pac-Man party design, and he was riding a mech based on Tekken's Moku Jin, which opens up the question, why does Pac-Man need a robot to fight?
Well, you have to count the arms and the legs and stuff. That's why he needs the robot, because he's like a foot.
I understand having an absurdly short character may create another Gon situation, even if Toro and Kuro were in the game, but I was more confused why Pac-Man decided this would be the perfect time to start using a mech robot, which has never been part of his character. Where did he find it? How did he get here?
I am currently unavailable to answer these questions.
He looks really out of place considering the other characters are at least human or humanoid, excluding the bear and cats.
Stop trying to put logic into this.
But inserting logic where there should be none is one of my main forms of entertainment. Anyway, his gameplay is pretty bland. The mech mostly charges, punches, and flip kicks the opposition. His super move also fires a laser, but the issue is, since these moves are so generic, it could have been anyone riding the Moku Jin robot. It would have been cooler seeing a weaker character from either series in the mech, like Dr. Boskanovich or maybe Dan Hibiki teaming up with the Moku Jin, being angry that both of them were left off the roster. The only real Pac-Man references here are he has a power pellet projectile, his Robo Command Center is shaped like an arcade stick making Pac-Man game noises, and he grows to super sizes for his cross arts. Overall, Pac-Man is more interesting fighting on his own, as seen in Smash Bros., rather than renting out a Moku Jin. Number 7. Emperor Pilaf and the Pilaf Machine in the Dragon Ball Z Budokai Tenkaichi series. I like to suggest crazy characters for fighting games, but I would have never thought to add Emperor Pilaf to a fighting game roster. This is the best way, though. He's riding around in his Pilaf machine that has the design of Mike Wazowski, or technically it would be the other way around. These mechs showed up with the Pilaf gang in the anime and manga, made specifically to defeat Goku, and could actually match his strength with some hidden weapons transferred over to the Budokai Tenkaichi series. The Pilaf machine alone is pretty generic, having a moveset where it turns into a ball to do a standard charge attack, and unearths a boulder for a common rock throw move that we see from around 1/3 of the roster. His ultimate move calls his henchmen, Mai and Shu, and their mechs to gang up on his opponent. He can also combine with them to create a Team Pilaf mech, which is much more fun. It has a machine gun in its wrist, suggestive chest lasers, and a missile that would be anatomically lewd if this super mech was just a human. The three of them even have conversations with each other in their respective robots, which gives these faceless mechs some extra character. Number 6. Catherine from Arcana Heart. It looks like she's riding a mech based off Dr. Eggman. I guess since she's a genius, she's a fan of the smartest Sonic the Hedgehog character. Well, that and rabbits. Why does she wear rabbit ears and a tail? It does not strike me as the perfect getup for a mecha or inventor.
Why wouldn't it be? It's just so cute.
I'm not sure if you get the implications of that costume. You might be a better judge on her outfit, though. On a scale of 1 to Bulma, how does she rank against other anime characters that have participated in this dress code?
Pretty high, because I've never seen a girl with bunny ears under a visor.
Her mech, which seems to be based on a character we'll see later on this list, isn't hiding anything too unexpected. Don't get me wrong, it fires off plenty of weapons, but many of them are standard for tank-like machines. It's built for brute strength, not to simply surprise, with classic weapons like cannonballs, missiles, and magical exploding dice. Well, maybe I was wrong in calling her mech standard. It even has a name that sounds human, Terry Yodogawa. You may think for a genius it was not too smart to leave herself exposed at the top where you could easily construct a shell around the pilot's seat, maybe made of some shatterproof glass. However, she shows the lack of defense is vital, since she has an attack where she'll just give the robot a break and wail on her opponent for some good old flail punching. Never question a genius. Number 5. Wayne Holden, or whoever's controlling PTX-40A in Tatsunoko vs. Capcom. PTX is originally from the Capcom third-person shooter Lost Planet. In the first Lost Planet, Wayne is the protagonist with his father using the PTX mech. However, in some Tatsunoko vs. Capcom dialogue, the unseen pilot mentions the robot belonging to his father, leading us to believe Wayne is the driver. But you do not select this character for the pilot. That massive robot is what catches your eye and motivates you to barrel through your opposition.
PTX-40A exists in a class all his own. Well, okay, he shares it with Goldlighten. They're both the giant characters, which means that they don't fight with an assist. But what they lack in speed, they make up for in brute strength.
And what makes him so strong? Lots of artillery. And I mean lots of it. Don't look directly into its cannons, it only leads to death. And don't shake its hand either, there's a chainsaw in there.
Chainsaw's in his house!
In fact, don't even go near it unprepared. Its rocket boosters allow it to charge and pummel, giving its opponents a whopping beatdown they'll never forget, along with disassembling and reassembling itself for optimized damage. Number 4. Bowser Jr. and Super Smash Bros.
Really, it's not just Bowser Jr., it's all the Koopalings. Wendy Corduroy, Robert Downey Jr.
And the random reference to classical music.
Ludwig? It's Ludwig. Does someone at Nintendo not know their German? One of the most famous composers of all time, and they don't know how to pronounce his name. It's like when people call Herzog Zwei, Herzog Zwei. Or when people call Cyber Dragon Zwei, Cyber Dragon Zwei.
We're like 30 seconds into this segment, why haven't we discussed the mech yet?
It's ridiculous.
With the 7 Koopalings as Bowser Jr.'s alternate skins in Smash Bros. With no differences in movesets, I'll just be referring to this character as Bowser Jr. since he's the default character, but you will be seeing a mix of them on the footage in the background. Bowser Jr. started using this clown car in Super Mario Bros. Wii, basing it on his father's famous clown car from Super Mario World, which means Bowser was one of the first mech pilots in video games when you think about it. What a revelation! Bowser Jr.'s robot may not be giant, but it's for more than just transportation. It holds more tools than its size should allow, but we don't point that out. So what does this mini mech have? Well, what doesn't it have? A ham sandwich. It's not equipped with that. But it does have cannons, drills, boxing gloves, and even robot minions. The weapons may look cartoony and innocent, but they're equally as dangerous as anything else in this universe. And Bowser Jr. doesn't even need a fancy control panel to initiate these tools. Completely touch-free.
Now, is he old enough to ride a robot?
It's designed for him. The Mario universe doesn't have a driver's license law or rules on using dangerous weapons, so he's mature enough.
But he's like, what, 2?
No, he's, well, we never learned his age. Well, he's clearly older than that, at least old enough to talk coherently.
You again? Don't you ever give up?
He still wears a bib.
We've gone over this before. It's a bandana with fake teeth to make it seem like he's more intimidating. See? Aren't you scared of this monster and this mechanical vehicle of doom?
The teeth on the bib are littler than the teeth in his mouth.
Talk like an adult, I give up. Let's just end it at he's a cool turtle monster child with a plethora of weapons that make him really fun to play, all packed into one less than threatening robocar helicopter. Number 3. Kum Haehyun from Guilty Gear. where's his robot? Does he just summon it, or did I grab the wrong character? Oh, that explains a few things. Kum is a master of ki, known as a tuner in the Guilty Gear universe, who quite literally tunes and fights with her string-based instrument. However, the more noticeable part of her character design is the mech that she controls from the inside, which is a really cool concept since the robot is meant to make her opponent think that she is some elder master of martial arts. Her moves combine the skills you'd expect from her robot's appearance with her natural ki control abilities. It also adds some personality to Kum since it shows that she does not trust some of her fighting abilities or her presence on the field, so she makes up for it with a disguise of a serious man that contrasts her tiny self. How did she even think to make this mech? She's not portrayed as an inventor, so what made her ponder,
I need a human-sized robot that I can comfortably fit into.
I love it though. It's like if the movie Meet Dave was in a fighting game. If she wins, her victory pose involves her accidentally hitting an irresponsibly placed ejector button on her command chair. So if you lose against her, it's like a moral victory that you don't look the silliest post-match. Number 2. Jin Saotome from Cyberbots. Jin was the protagonist of his own fighting game, but many know him from the Marvel vs. Capcom series, where he fought on the same footing as most of the cast. He was also very sweaty. His intensity overheats him.
Jin Saotome. What other Marvel vs. Capcom character is willing to fight in their underwear for us? Now, if only they would bring in Devilot as a playable character in one of these games, we would have ourselves a spicy Cyberbot sandwich.
Despite the fact Jin gains a lot of abilities to fight on his own, he brings out the giant robot for his super moves to remind us of his origins, along with appearing behind Jin during certain parts of the match. His mech, BX-02 Blodia, can shoot lots of guns, which Jin will jump into after the bot gets a head start to emulate his preferred fighting style from Cyberbots in the Marvel vs. Capcom series. Blodia can also fight alongside Jin with its Jin fought solely in his mech in Cyberbots, where he had good tools all around, like fireballs and all-out charges. However, Cyberbots allows you to customize your mech, so you're not stuck with Jin's standard mech if you like the pilot but not the robot. Other Blodia designs include a giant mech-sized laser sword and a giant ball of death. Since Jin or any character can pilot any of the dozen or so robots, Jin has a variety of options at his disposal, from tanks to missiles to force claws to Akuma. What's on tap for the honorable mentions? The Gundam Battle Assault series. There's no clear character as an outlier that stands above the rest, but the Gundam fighting games deserve some recognition for being solid anime fighters. Cyber Wu from Neo Geo Battle Coliseum. It's a mechanical ape controlled by a girl in a floating chair, but the chair is separate from the machine itself, so I could not really count her as riding in or on the mech, just near it. Emmett from PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale. Emmett's cool, but he only gets in his mech for his level 3 super move. And come to think of it, that would mean Sweet Tooth in that same game would count, since he has a clown ice cream truck mech, which is a fun thing to tell people, even if Sweet Tooth's level 3 is slow and bad. Molly from Skullgirls, kind of. She could have been cool if she was created, but the fans did not want her that much during the DLC character vote. Her mech is a giant telephone. I vouched for her. And finally, semi-off topic, Roach Coach from the Powerpuff Girls. I know he's not from a fighting game, but I just wanted to point out that's a mech. He looks like a gross dude, but he's actually a cockroach controlling a large human replica robot. It's giant by scale if you compare the pilot to the size of the machine. And yeah, the Powerpuff Girls actually had their own mech, but I'm already meandering far enough. Okay, back on track. So number 1 as a fighting game character is probably one of my top 10 playable fighters of all time across all fighting games. Her tools are just so fun to use. Number 1, Tron Bone in the Marvel vs. Capcom games. Tron is a lot of things: an inventor, a scientist, a pirate. But she has so many tricks hidden in her mech Gustav, I don't think we have time to talk about all of her professions in this video. Despite being an antagonist with some protagonist qualities in Mega Man Legends, most of her Marvel vs. Capcom moveset references her attacks in her own game, The Misadventures of Tron Bone. Looking at Gustav, she has Hidden Fire in the center, which has a bit of invincibility and can catch an airborne opponent in its tracks. The arms can create drills, the legs can turn into buzzsaws of sorts and spinning blades that can OTG opponents, and the middle can rotate at a pretty fast speed, making Tron dizzy in the process. Combine these tools with the immense strength of Gustav, and Tron can put a pretty big beat down on her opponent if they are unfortunate enough to meet her robot fist. Unrelated to the mech, she has an army of Servbots that help her fight, like King Servbot, who was lucky enough to get a giant hammer, and the rest can just trample over her opponent. Some even seem to be in Gustav since she can fire them out of an arm cannon. Unlike her own video game, Marvel vs. Capcom Tron keeps the sunroof down, which was a designer choice so we could see Tron front and center. This allows you to see Tron's personality a lot more in her animations, like when she gets dizzy from spinning, looks fearless when pulling a perfectly spherical boulder from the ground, or sways with her mech's dashing, almost falling off. We also see how tough Tron is, since she, a 14-year-old girl, not the robot, takes plenty of direct hits from these superheroes and just fighting game characters. Still, nothing really bad could come from removing the roof for the sake of showing off your awesome hairstyle, right?
Gotcha!
Level 1. Hyper Combo KO! Player 1 wins!
What a hog!
So closing off these robotic characters in fighting games lists is Tron Bone as the top mech pilot in fighting games. So what did you think of these choices? Were you a fan of some of them? Were there a few fighters I left off this list? Let me know in the comments. I hope you enjoyed this look at the many robotic characters in fighting games, whether you just tuned in for this video or all three of them. A big thanks to Software Agents Corp for providing most of the footage seen in these videos. Feel free to check out their channel for video game reviews and some extra things. You might even hear me guest commentate once in a while in their videos. Anyway, thank you all for watching. Look out for a potential mic upgrade for me in my next video if you're watching these in chronological order, and I will see you in the next video.